Mic check. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. All right, we ain't gotta get into that kind of mode, okay? We don't need to be getting the "Who Shot Ya" by the Notorious. But hello, everybody. I believe this is episode 4 of me going solo, and I haven't gone solo every time, but this is episode 4 of me going solo. Just wanted to thank y'all for those who are tuning in now and those who are going to be tuning in down the road, but I kind of had to come out with an emergency podcast to address some things. I don't even want to say address some things, but just to talk about some things that have been on my mind. A lot going on in the realm of sports. I don't know. I think we talked shortly after the Super Bowl. I think we talked like that Tuesday or Wednesday after the Super Bowl. The Taylor Swift Bowl. 1 second. Get my mic all untangled here, man. Oh, we're dropping everything. See, this is a story of my life. Whenever I'm doing anything in my life, it's never... it never goes how it's supposed to go. Nothing works out the way it's supposed to work out. There we go. But yeah, last time I was on, I think it was shortly after the Super Bowl. I took last week off. And then I kind of did the end of this week. So that's just because I've been on a break. I just kind of wanted to focus on myself. Didn't want really too many responsibilities over my break. Work's been wild, things like that. So we're coming on as emergency podcast. I want to talk a little bit about the All-Star game. I wanted to talk Montana hoops, high school basketball season. We got March Madness coming up right around the corner, actually. I think colleges are just now, they're about to get going into their conference titles, conference tournaments, things like that. And I want to talk about some things I've been thinking about. You know, things that have been on my mind that I think are important. I think that are important. We're trying to reel in some guests here, though, man. We're trying to reel in some guests. People are so busy. I could do a lot better in terms of reaching out. I need like a PR person that could do it all for me, but we ain't there yet. But yeah, I think next weekend we'll actually have our first guest of just the Skywalking with Wetz podcast. We had multiple with Hef and I, but people have been getting busy. But I think we got some guests coming up, and I promise you, I'm gonna get these guests on. I promise you that. But anyways, yeah, busy week. Took a week off. Now we're back, man. I just got some bad news for my fantasy team. Trae Young's out. He has to get hand surgery. And that's one thing that I've been my wife hates it. I'm really into this fantasy league. There's 20 dudes in it. It's like, it's dope. I think it's dope, but my wife hates it. It's on the Sleeper app. It's fun. My wife hates it because it's so competitive and I'm always on this stuff. But anyways, I just kind of want to get into some things. So this is kind of the layout of the pod today. I'm really not going to be on too long. I'm trying to keep it under an hour today. It's an emergency pod. So when I do these emergency pods, they'll be a little shorter than usual. But today I'm going to talk All-Star Game. I'm going to talk last weekend's about a week ago. I'm going to talk the NBA All-Star Game and what I thought about that. I'm going to kind of get into Montana hoops. It's tournament time. It's the best time of the year in Montana right now to be a hoops lover. You got high school hoops. I think Class B, C, and even A had their divisional tournaments this week. Oh boy, I miss being in Montana this time of year, man. I miss it. Double A, I think they have their divisionals next week. But you also have the Frontier Conference tournament coming up. The Grizz and the Cats are going to start getting into their conference championship tournaments and things like that. So a lot. If you're a hoops fan, this is, especially in Montana, this is the time. And I got a hoops legend I'm trying to get on maybe next week, maybe the week after. And I think next week would be the best time. We'll see. To get him on and talk, because he's won the divisionals, he's won the districts, he's won the state titles. We've had him on before, but I'm trying to get him on. He's assistant coach for his alma mater, and they just won their divisional tournament. But anyways, if you're a hoops lover, this is the time. This is the time to really just sit back and enjoy it. Middle of February to the middle of March in Montana is beautiful, man. And then after that, I'm going to get a little bit to just a little bit of life talk. Discuss how this life isn't you against the world or me against the world. If I'm looking at myself, it's you against you. It's me against me. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that after, but let's kind of get into this All-Star game, man. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I grew up. What I saw growing up, right? I think I remember my first All-Star game, it may have been 2001. Was that Jordan's last All-Star game? Where he was on the East. This is before they started mixing and matching, like they don't do it no more, but they did for a couple years. But it was Kobe on one side, Jordan on the other, right? When I came up, when I was born was the beginning of the Bulls' second run of their three-peat. Anyways, so I think this may have been Jordan's last year, but I remember watching those All-Star games. Shaq, Chris Webber, Reggie Miller, Kobe, Jordan. I think even, who else was out there? Dudes like Mike Bibby. I think Bibby may have been, I don't know if Mike Bibby was out there, but all those early 2000 cats that kind of leaked in from the 90s, and then coming up from that. Then we fast forward, we look at the mid to late 2000s. You got dudes like Kobe, T-Mac. You still got guys like Shaq, Yao Ming. Who else? Steve Nash, Stoudemire, Tim Duncan, like KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, LeBron James, D Wade, cats like that in this All-Star game, and they're competing. That's the best part. Like, even the dunk contest, dudes are competing. You know what I mean? They're going at it. They're putting their best foot forward. All the stars are competing in the dunk contest. And I'm sitting there as a young kid. I'm sitting there watching the dunk contest. I got my mini hoop. In the living room. I see Jason Richardson. Do his 360 windmill, come across, bang. I'm going to go do that on my mini hoop. Boom. You had all the stars doing the dunk contest, right? It's just not like that no more. All-Star Weekend doesn't seem like it's the same anymore. And I'm going to get a little bit into why maybe that is, but I'm just going to share just like the trajectory of this thing, okay? Then you kind of get in the early 2000s, and they're still going at it. But when I started seeing that lapse of where the All-Star Game's not being taken, or All-Star Weekend isn't being taken as serious, stars aren't participating in the dunk contest as much. They're kind of walking around, jogging around, half-assing during the All-Star Game. It's kind of like the mid to late 2010s, man. And then, if you watched it last Sunday and you kind of grew up before me, and even around my time, you're like, you don't even want to watch that. That's not even a brand of basketball you want to promote. Like, the best of the world. And Kobe Bryant said it best. I think he hit it right on the head. The fans want to see the world's greatest pickup game. They want to see the world's greatest pickup game. You had dudes like Larry Bird come and speak out saying, I hope, because they're in Indiana, Larry Bird's backyard. Mr. Indiana, is that what they called it? Mr. Indiana, Larry Bird's backyard. He says, I hope they take this serious. I hope they go at it. And, we're not saying go at it to the point of where you're it's game 7 of the finals, but put some effort into it a little bit. You know what I mean? You have all these stars, not old heads, but legends of the game speaking out saying, take this serious for the fans and also to just promote an awesome brand of basketball, but they just don't do that, right? And you sit there and watch it and you're like, what am I watching? This is like what it's hard. And people say, oh, it's middle of the season, they don't want to get hurt. Yeah, whatever, man. I've watched dudes go at it from when I was a little. It's so hard from going from like a little kid watching all the stars participate in the dunk contest, right? To like now they're pulling G League dudes. Shout out Mac McClung. He's a dog. I think no matter what, he needs to be invited to the dunk contest. But some of those other cats, man, they don't like. I'm happy Jaylen Brown was in it. I'm just going to say that. I'm happy Jaylen Brown was in it. An all-star was in it. I am very happy he was in it, right? But these last couple of years, man, some of these guys I don't even know. And that's not like no bash on them, no disrespect to them. But like all-star weekends for the NBA all-stars, right? We want to see them participate and put on a show because we know they got the dunks in their bag. You know what I mean? And to watch it, it was like it's just boring. Mac McClung did some crazy stuff, but some of those scores Jaylen Brown got, I don't even know how he got those scores. Like that dunk over that. He dunked over a kid who's like 5'5". He was sitting in a chair. He got like a 40. In the NBA dunk contest, a dunk like that needs to be like a 20. That's not even impressive. Like Jaylen Brown could dunk over me with no effort, but he dunked over someone sitting down and he got a 40. That's crazy. But yeah, then you watch the All-Star game, man. It's just like, wow, these guys really, they just don't care. And they even came out and said that. Like, players came out and said they don't care. And that sucks. And that probably just shows the trajectory of, like, what the NBA, that they don't care about that stuff. It's just a big money maker for them. They still make their money. People are still going to show up because they might not see the best pickup game in the world. You can go to Rico Hines out in L.A. I think that's where it's at, L.A., that area, and go watch the best pickup in the summer because they're going way harder in the summer. But they're not necessarily paying their money nowadays to go watch the best pickup game. They're paying their money just to go see all the stars. You're going to see NBA legends walking around. That's probably why they're paying. But they make their money off it, and they're cool with it. And that sucks. It really does suck because the All-Star game to me used to be such a fun thing to watch, right? Used to be so fun to watch. It's insane to see where it's at now. Like we had dudes like AI going at it, Kobe going at it, KG Dogs going at it. Remember when the East came back from like, what year was that? I don't remember, 04 maybe? I don't know what year it was. The East came back from like 20, 30 down, and they came back and upset the West, and like, I don't know if we're ever going to see that again because dudes don't care. Like Anthony Edwards said, he's like, I'm just out here trying to chill, But I think this is part of it. Is this the NBA? Is it the players necessarily, or is maybe owners saying, hey, you got to chill. We don't want you to hurt yourself because there's so much money invested in the players. I think that's part of the reason, too. They're like, hey, Jaylen Brown, you got a $300 million contract. We don't want you blowing your ACL out during the All-Star game. I can see that. But you can put a little more effort into it, right? Then give the kids the show they want to see, right? When you saw Luka and Jokic kind of passing the ball back and forth to each other, just kind of jogging down, and then Jokic just does like an uncontested layup. Like, who wants to see that? That ain't cool. That's like a drill you would run at the beginning of a basketball practice. Just kind of jogging, getting loose, passing it back and forth. Last guy makes the layup. And everyone's just kind of standing around and watching. And you're like, oh, my God. It would have been cool if they're going 75% going down the court. But, like, they're shooting uncontested threes, no closeouts, wide open dunk lanes. It's like we're going to watch a Harlem Globetrotters game, man. It's like I'm wasting my, like, I'm not saying the Harlem Globetrotters are boring or anything, but If I wanted to go watch that kind of ball, I would go pay a ticket to go watch the Harlem Globetrotters somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So All-Star Game ain't what it is no more, dog. And it sucks. It's annoying. And I think in a way it's a disservice to the fans. And I don't know if it's the owners telling their dudes to chill. I don't know what it is, man. But something's got to change, but I don't know if it'll ever change. Too much money involved? Or is that just ball now? I don't know. I don't know. It was funny because Kawhi Leonard did an interview before the All-Star weekend. He said he mentioned that the fundamentals are out of the game. And I kind of agree with that in a sense. Like, players are very fundamental in their own ways, but there's also a style of play that's kind of promoted that isn't really fundamental, and then kids try and copy that kind of style of play, and they're trying to skip the fundamentals. When I was coaching my C squad, kids would come out and they would just huck up threes. First shot in the gym, shoot a 3-ball. Kids that don't even shoot threes. I had some posts that couldn't even make a layup, but they're out there trying to shoot threes, and I'd be like, yo, yeah. Start in the key and work your way out. Y'all ain't there yet, you know? But how do they know that? All they see is dudes huck up threes now. Between the legs, 2 side steps to the left, shoot a 3 like James Harden. You know what I mean? Thanks, Kobe. Thanks for the like. Kobe, I saw people talking about this, and I wonder if Kobe would agree. The MLB All-Star Weekend is the best All-Star weekend out of the 3 major sports in the United States. It's better than the NFL Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl sucks now. That is terrible. The Pro Bowl is probably worse than the NBA now. They don't even play football. They play flag football. Okay? Maybe because there's too much money involved. I mentioned that. But the MLB All-Star weekend, or what do they call it? Yeah, MLB, whatever. Home Run Derby's electric. I love it. The Home Run Derby's electric. The game's electric. You know, and I wish the NBA kind of went back to the roots of going a little more, being a little more intense with their All-Star weekend. Stars participated a little bit more. You know what I mean? Why can't Anthony Edwards be in the dunk contest? You know? Why can't you get Jaylen Brown, someone like Jaylen Brown in there every weekend? Why hasn't LeBron done it ever? A dunk contest, you know? And people were blaming LeBron for, you know, how the dunk contest has declined. I agree, but disagree at the same time. We can't put LeBron, like, he probably gave people, like, the thought of, okay, well, LeBron ain't going to do it. I ain't going to do it in terms of superstars. But LeBron ain't responsible for everybody. He could shed influence. But at the same time, people got to take that responsibility in their own hands. Kobe says, MLB, NHL, NBA, NFL baseball is the only one they actually still play to the potential of all the guys have. Yeah, exactly. And baseball is beautiful, man. And I think baseball players also take great pride into playing. You know, baseball has a lot of rich tradition that I feel like is still intact. You know, baseball's changed, but baseball can only change so much. And so that means a lot of those things kind of stay the same. You know, they can put in a pitch clock. They can juice the baseballs a little bit more, you know, promote a little more home runs. But you can only change it so much, right? If you went and watched the MLB All-Star game and people are hitting the equivalent to the NBA, if you transferred it to the MLB, is if you put Aroldis Chapman up on the bump and he was pitching in the All-Star game, and he was only throwing 50%, and he was getting hit all over the yard, and all the outfielders and infielders are jogging to the ball, and dudes are just hitting inside the park home runs, hitting triples all the time. No one would want to watch that. That's not fun. They actually go at it. You know what I mean? NBA, they don't really go at it. It's really not fun to watch at all. It's really boring. And like in any college practice, high school practice, middle school practice, whatever I've been a part of, if any of us played that hard, practice would be over. He'd send us home because he's disappointed. Like just promotes lazy basketball in a sense, because you got young kids watching that. And if you want young kids to be motivated and be like, I want to play hard like that, you got to show them that. You know what I mean? Especially All-Star Weekend when all the eyes are on it. During the regular season, yes, but not all games are on TV. You got to have NBA Pass and things like that. So this is the opportunity for the NBA to really promote good basketball because all the eyes are there on all the stars. You have Giannis, LeBron, AD, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, Trae Young, Jason Tatum, Jokic, Doncic, all these guys under the same roof, but you're only going to go 50%? Maybe 50%? That sucks. They shot over like 100-something threes, maybe 200 three-point attempts. That's unreal. That's stupid in a bad way. But yeah, like I said, I think baseball is the most pure, in my opinion. There's a lot of tradition, a lot of pride taken to it. I'm not saying there's not pride in the NBA, but it doesn't seem like that during All-Star Weekend. They don't take much pride in the All-Star Weekend like they used to. You know what I mean? You see a lot of legends speak out against it, but this younger generation coming, they don't care, man. They don't care. They get their bag, whatever it is. It sucks. It sucks. But I'm going to move on from that topic because, what do you do? What do you do? They're making their money. They ain't complaining. But we'll flip it to a little better topic here. It is tournament time in Montana. You got Class C, Class B, Class A. Double A is wrapping up their season. And this is why I miss Montana so much this time of year, is because when I was living in Great Falls, I would just pull up to the Four Seasons Arena, get that day pass, just watch games all day, catch the last 4 or 5 games of the afternoon. You know what I mean? It is such a beautiful time just to be in Montana and just a basketball fan. Like, I think we had Box Elder versus Belt last night at the Four Seasons, and wow, like I wish I was there. I have the fear of missing out because I miss that environment so much. Box Elder, historically very, very great program out there. And then you got Belt, another historically great program going head to head. And I was looking at videos and that gym was packed. And that is like some of the best basketball and the best environment you could ever be a part of. And it's Class C. That's the smallest class in Montana. And that's the stuff I miss. Then, I got my cousins. I got some cousins playing Class A ball out in Hamilton. And they won their divisionals. So now they're going to state. And I remember when I was living out in Missoula, I went out to Hamilton and watched divisionals. And, Browning was playing out there, boys and girls, versus like Hamilton, Frenchtown, Steve I, all those kinds of places. It's just an amazing atmosphere, man, because the whole community shows up. That is like the beautiful part. Like the whole community shows up. There's so much pride taken into those young men and women that are out there, battling for not only their team and to get to state and to win ball games, but they're also battling for their community. They're battling for their people. They're representing their people, and there's a lot of pride taken into that. A lot of pride taken into the history of the people before them and what they want to, and the standard they want to continue to set for the generations coming up, behind them. And Kobe says Class C is in the Four Seasons his favorite time of the year. Yes, man, I agree. It is beautiful. It's honestly beautiful. You got one side for one team and the other side for the other team. And it's always going to be packed for the most part. Those early morning games, it depends, but it's packed. The Four Seasons gets rocking, the Metro gets rocking, MSU gets rocking, Adams Center gets rocking. All these divisional locations get rocking, man. And it's beautiful to watch. And I just miss out because when I was coaching last year, let's say like last year, we were in the playoffs we were basically the Colorado divisionals to get to state. Nobody was in that gym. Like And that's the difference between Montana and I think like these metro areas. Because the metro areas, there's not as much community behind, some of these schools, especially the smaller schools. The bigger schools, maybe. I haven't experienced it yet. I'm planning on to this year. Go watch some of these 6, 7A schools that are just sending D1 studs everywhere. But like, I was at a little small school and no one was there. And I was like, damn, if this is Montana, everyone would be there. There's actually one team. There's one small town team from like Eastern Colorado that came in. It was playing in like our divisionals. Their whole town was there and I loved it. And my school had maybe like 20 people in the stands for us. And the other school had 300 people over there. It was awesome. I was like, I love that. I love it so much because it reminds me of Montana. And like I alluded to a little bit ago, it's just like the pride that goes into those young men and women that community, brought up and developed, and they get to see them try and win them a title out there. There's a lot of pride that goes into it, and that's the best part. Sorry, I'm picking at my nose. Like, got long nose hairs. Wetzel's got nose hairs, so it tickles a little too much. But yeah, man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and just seeing all the videos come out. Scores come out, a lot of close games, a lot of tight games. It's awesome. And, I played AA, so I didn't have, when I was in AA, we didn't have divisionals like they do now. We just had a play in, and then like, if you were like the first seed on either side, you got a bye. But 2 through 8, I believe, played to get in the state. Best 4 on both sides go. After you play each other. So the winner of the 8 game, or what is it? Something like that. 4 from the East, 4 from the West go after the playoffs, You just didn't have that feel. Like we'd pack, people would show up to the games. Like AA definitely has that community. Great Falls High, where I come from, we had that community. A lot of people took a lot of pride into us. And that probably goes for all schools across the AA. Because Montana's very tight-knit. But we didn't have that divisional atmosphere, at least when I was there. When you got the state, we definitely had a nice little atmosphere. But it's hard to say. I don't know if that atmosphere is better than C, B, or A. I don't. I really don't. Like, we didn't have to go play a Hardin or a Browning, where the whole res is there, We'd have to go against the semi-big student section or things like that. But that was about it. But we didn't have a whole community show up and be on the other side against us. And I wish I got to experience that. Because it's awesome, man. You're putting on, and when you're in those small towns, man, and I can't like stress this enough, just something a little different about it. There's something a little different about it, in my opinion, and it's cool. And so I'm really jealous and have that fear of missing out that I'm not in Montana getting to watch it in person. I've been watching on the NFHS website over the weekend. But it's a beautiful time of year. Beautiful time of year. I think AA has their divisionals coming up next week. I think C and A and B, C, B, and A classes, they played their divisionals. They'll have a week off. Then they'll go to state in 3 weeks. Divisionals for AA will be next week. And then to add everything else to the mix, you got the NAI playoffs coming on. And they'll be in the Four Seasons again this year. And that's really exciting too. When I was playing at UP, we didn't have that. We traveled for our playoffs. We weren't in just like the same location. So we would go and travel to Carroll. If we won there, we would maybe play at home, or we'll go somewhere else. Or we play our first game at home, semifinal at Carroll, and then the conference championship at whoever had the best record. But now that they're all at one location in a place like Four Seasons, it just makes me have that FOMO of like, I wish I was there and I could just sit there and just watch. Because as a basketball fan, it's not only just like experiencing like the environment, but also watching a high brand of basketball. Because when you're in that playoff atmosphere, whether it's high school or college, it's beautiful. You could feel the pressure, but you also see how the players perform under that pressure. And I think that's the most impressive part on all levels, is watching players perform when all the stakes are on the line, or they're trying to get their bid to the national tournament or the state tournament or whatever it is. And like the Frontier now is doing the thing where they're having like a location-based tournament. So all the teams are going to go to Great Falls and play throughout the week, right? I can't remember specifically how it happens. I think they might play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or whatever it is. Maybe they go every other day, but they're all in one location. And if you're in Great Falls, I would highly recommend going watching the NAI conference tournament at the Four Seasons, because I've talked about it multiple times on the pod of like how high level the NAIA really is. You got NAIA teams that would beat the piss out of D2 teams. You got NAIA teams that can compete with and beat D1 teams. And some of these dudes are going to be going overseas and playing professionally and making a living playing professionally. But they're also competing at the Frontier level to get to the national tournament. So the winner of every conference championship, they're going to go to the national championship, right? And as Keller always said, when he was my coach, Steve Keller, he always said, you win 20 games, you're in. And so sometimes if you don't win your conference championship, you still can get a chance to go to the national tournament, especially if you're at that 20-win mark. And it's interesting to see because the Frontier has a lot of really good teams that can always go and compete at the national level, at the national tournament, and make a lot of noise. But sometimes, and that's also the beautiful part, some of those teams, their only shot to get to the national tournament is to win the conference tournament. And those are the teams you got to look out for because they want to get there. That is every team's goal, is to get to that national tournament. I think they still have it at Kansas City. They might break out. They might do it a little different now. They might do location-based than Kansas City, I think is how they do it. But if you're in the Great Falls area, I'd highly recommend going watching it. Or if you're in another part of the country listening to this, like if you're around somewhere where they're doing that, go watch. Right? Like it is just an awesome brand of basketball. D1 is amazing to watch, but that's not the only good brand of college basketball out there. You got NAI, D2, D3, JUCO teams are starting to play. We got three JUCOs out in Montana. I think it's SKC. You might have four because I think Little Bighorn out in Crow, I think they have a JUCO team. And then you have Miles City, and then what's the other? There's another one out there. Glendive, Dawson. You have one out in Glendive, I believe. But go check it out. It's a great time of year. I highly recommend it. If you love basketball or just love athletics in general, I think it's something that you just got to go check out. It's awesome. It's just awesome. You know what I mean? You get to see a lot of cool stuff, a lot of close games, and a lot of players doing really well. It's fun. It's really fun. So, yeah, man, it's interesting. It's interesting. I miss it a lot. I got to go kind of test the waters out here a little bit more. I know it's that time around here as well. But that Montana vibe, it's something that definitely I miss a lot. And I hope maybe next year I can get up there and go check out a state or divisional tournament. So we'll see, man. But it's all fun. It's all fun to do. And if you're around any of those areas, just go watch the high school, go watch the NAI, whatever it is. Just go support, small schools, big schools, whatever it is. And I guarantee you're going to enjoy it. I guarantee that. And so kind of moving on to the next topic, I said I wasn't going to be on here too long, is something I've been really thinking about lately, just in life. And this comes from observation. This comes from my observation, I should say, of just observing others and just observing myself, right? Not everything in this life is easy. You know what I mean? Not everything in this life is easy. Life is actually really hard in its own aspects. A lot of challenges that are presented. And I think when challenges are presented, it's easy to point the finger of, that's why I'm in this position. That's why I'm in this position. They're all external. And I was thinking the other day, I was like, I do that sometimes. Well, if this didn't happen to me, I would have, I'd be in a better spot. Or if that didn't happen, I'd be doing this, that, or the other. And it got me thinking, it's not me versus the world or them versus the world. You like the stats, Zach? Thank you, bro. I got my little chin strap. Call it the JC Isaacson coming in too. So it's actually connected. I'm just trying to get it. Imagine if I had a beard. But it's not you versus the world. When you got tough things going on, it's not always you versus the world. There's definitely external factors that create barriers, right? But you can't rely on other external factors to take down those barriers for you all the time. Sometimes it's you versus you. And in my case, it's me versus me. When things aren't going my way, I'm down in the dumps. Things don't seem fair. And they're just not going my way. Is that a me versus the world problem? Or is that a me versus me? And lately I've been saying that's a me versus me. And I think some rapper or someone said it at one point that made me kind of thinking about it. It's me versus me, because when those barriers are presented or those circumstances are presented to me, ultimately, whose responsibility is that? Moneybag Yo, what up, Z? Thanks for coming in, brother, all the way from Germany. I appreciate that, brother. But we can't always rely on other external factors to solve our issues. Sometimes you got to take down those barriers yourself. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to get at here is sometimes you got to put your head down and just go. You can't let circumstances always dictate your path or dictate how you're going to handle things. You got to let yourself take those head on. You got to take responsibility for the position you're in and how you're going to get yourself out. Because if you don't, you could be waiting a long time, if not your whole life, for things to get figured out. And it's an uncomfortable thing to think about. What Hunt say? Let's take the AK, cut it in half, and call it a Draco. Oh, here comes Hunt, Mr. Lyrics, man. But anyways, to get back to what I was talking about is we got to be resilient, and that's where the resilience comes in. We can't be a victim, because when it's you versus you, basically to me what that means is when it's me versus me is I'm my biggest barrier. The system can be a barrier, but sometimes we're our own biggest barrier. Sometimes we hold ourselves back more than anything else because we don't want to hit stuff head on. We don't want to take care of things ourselves because it's hard. It takes a long time. It puts a lot of responsibility and accountability on ourselves. But I believe if you want to be great in anything you do in this life, that's the way you have to go about it. You can't always rely on you can't always rely on other people or other things to do what they're supposed to do. You know what I mean? You can't always rely on your boss to get things done for you. Sometimes you have to say, fuck it, I'm going to go do this myself. Or fuck it, I'm going to figure out a way. You got to figure out a way. You got a game plan. You got to figure out a path and a plan to really attack these things. Because if you don't, you're holding yourself back. But that's what makes great people. Great people don't just sit back and wait and wait and wait. It's that me versus me concept of saying, I'm my biggest barrier. And if I don't start, it all starts with me. If I don't start taking a plan of action, right now, I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my life. I see a lot of homies that are kind of in the same spot. They're in that same spot of They haven't moved much since college, or they haven't done much since high school. They haven't done much. They're waiting on other shit to unfold for them where really they're not making the moves themselves, you know? And I've seen that myself too. It's like sometimes I need to be proactive. This podcast, for example, I was talking at the beginning, I need to get some more guests on here. And I've hit people up like, yeah. Not this week, next week. Then that week, I'm not this, okay. And I found myself kind of waiting. Okay. But at some point, I gotta go get it. And I gotta go pursue things a little harder if I want to get people on here. That's just a small example, right? Because if you sit around and wait, you're gonna figure out nothing's gonna get done. If you're at your job, you're trying to get a project done, and you're waiting on something else, and you're waiting to hear back. You can't just sit back and wait. Kind of got to go do it. You got to go figure it out. Be creative. Use your brain. That's why we got this thing up here, man. We got this thing up here to help guide ourselves and be creative in the ways we can do things. And the greatest people on the planet, if it's athletics, business, politics, whatever, they're all great right here because they figured it out and they're creative in the way that they took their approaches or the path that they took, you know? And in this life, I feel like they promote me versus the world or me versus my external factors, where in reality, if we really want to get some shit done, that's a you versus you type thing. Where you're going to find it within yourself to get that motivation or get that plan of action to really attack, you know, your weaknesses or attack those barriers yourself. Not waiting on the system to do it for you or your work to do it for you. How are you going to do it yourself, you know? And that's something I've really been thinking about lately. That's really been on my mind because I don't want to be a victim. Don't want to be a victim of my circumstances. I don't want people around me to be a victim of their circumstances. I don't want my community to be a victim of the circumstances. We need to promote resilience. It starts in schools. It starts in all these other spaces, you know, for people to really be able to fight against that adversity and not blame external factors. You know, we can acknowledge it. I think it's important to acknowledge like things that we have to face. But we can't back down from those things. And that's the most uncomfortable part about it. You know what I mean? That's the most uncomfortable part about that whole process, is because sometimes you don't know where to go or what to do. And it's that phase one of everything. When you're at that phase one, it's like, okay, where do I go from here? I have the vision, but how do I get there? And that whole process is me versus me. You versus you. How are you going to do it? Thanks, D. Appreciate you. How are you going to do it? You know? You want to quit going out, but all your friends are trying to get you to go out, and then you go out and you're like, damn, why'd I do that? That's a you versus you thing, dog. You got to figure, it's uncomfortable to tell your homies, nah, I ain't doing that. You know? I ain't going to do that tonight. Perfect example was on Friday, I go to this boxing class. It's on Tuesdays and Fridays, but it's at 7 at night. You know, I work a day, this is the perfect example of this, man. This is a me versus me thing. This is a me versus me. This is what's me versus me thing this is what started the whole thing. This is what started the whole thing. And I'm going to bring it back to Christmas time. Okay? I'm going to bring it back to Christmas time. You know, Christmas time, we're chilling. You know, you're getting your presents. I was over at my in-laws in Big Timber. Steve and Pat A-Rant. You know, I have my sister-in-law, Shelby, out there. My brother-in-law, Danny. All great people. Beautiful family. I love them to death. Like, love them to death. My wife, of course, we got a puppy. But, you know, I'm on break. I busted my ass from August to December, and we get like a 2.5 week break. So we go out to Big Timber. We go out to Big Timber, and there's cookies. We're eating good every night, and I'm just kicking it. You know, we're eating good, like seafood. Then we have prime rib, like hundreds of cookies, fudge, all this kind of stuff. And backtrack a little bit, I paused my boxing membership for the month of December because I was super busy and I just couldn't get there because I just couldn't get there. Me versus me thing, though. In my head, I couldn't get there, but I could have got there, right? And I get back, we drive back to Colorado, and I step on that scale. Your boy Wetz was 230. I was weighing 230 pounds because I didn't exercise at all. I was just eating junk food, eating good every day, just kicking it. In Big Timber, there ain't much to do. And I get here, and I'm 230, eating real good, bro. Hey, Z, we're talking big body, man. Eating real good. And I was like, fuck, okay. I'm getting back into my boxing, right? I need to start shedding some weight. And I also got a gym membership, right? But I don't like going to the gym after work. If I go to the gym, I got to go in the morning because when I get home, I'm just trying to kick it. Me versus me. Again. Your boy Wetz is 230. I look in the mirror and I'm looking at my belly. I'm like, damn. And keep in mind, I have a big family. And I'm not saying like fat or anything. We're just big people. Genetically, we're built bigger. You know, I was really skinny growing up, but I was also very active. And I don't think I really started filling out into my body until I was like 24, to be honest. I didn't really start filling out until I was like 24 after I played athletics and things like that. Maybe like my last season at UP, I started to fill out a little bit more. And I started to notice like my body, I just put a little bit more weight on than I used to, and quick and easy. I'm like, okay, I need to get in the gym again. So I booted back up my boxing membership, right? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to start going to the gym. That first week from break, I didn't go to the gym once in the morning. I didn't go once. I'd wake up and I'd go back to bed. And then I'd go through my day and I'm just pissed at myself. That's a me versus me thing, right? Still didn't go to the gym. Then boxing comes Tuesday. I go to like that first one. Then the Friday comes, right? 7 o'clock on a Friday night. Go to this boxing. But the boys are gaming, right? Boys are gaming. I skip it. Because I went out to eat with my girl. Then I got on, I came home, and I was gaming. And I'm like, I'm a piece of shit, man. I set a goal out for myself. And I failed all week. I went to one boxing thing all week was the only thing I did. Then my boy Sergio, he works at the school I work at. Him and I went to the gym. Like, we wanted to go 4 out of the 5 days of the week. We went to like 3. Okay, there's a little growth there. But that's not good enough for me. That might be good enough for some people, but that wasn't good enough for me. Because I'm like, I just shot 3 for 5 from the free throw line in a sense. That's not good enough for me. All right. The next week comes. I think we went 2 out of 5, and you go on and go on and go on. February got a lot better, right? I went to a couple Friday classes. Then I got COVID, bro. I get COVID. No gym for like a week and a half. I'm sick. Don't go boxing. I don't do none of that stuff. Still gaining weight. I cut some weight because I had COVID and I couldn't eat anything, right? But I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God. Like I set this goal out beginning of the year and here I am. I haven't done anything about it, man. I'm still in the same spot I was 45 days ago. Then you start thinking of, well, I had COVID. I'm working long days, you know. Oh, man. That's a me versus the world mentality, right? Me versus my circumstances type situation. And then in reality it's a me versus me thing. I got to fight myself to actually I got to get my ass up if I actually want to go do this stuff. You know what I mean? And that's the hardest part. It's the discipline and the consistency part of everything. That as an individual, I'm still trying to work on. And so, you know, I think I had this week off. I went to the gym a couple times the week before. You know, it is what it is. But this last week, I'm like, fuck, dude, I got to do something, right? I went to the gym every single day and I went to boxing on Tuesday, right? That Tuesday, so this last Tuesday, I woke up because I didn't have school this week. I woke up. Well, before I even started the week, I said, this is exactly what I'm going to do. Plan of action, right? What am I going to do to set myself up to get in a consistent routine, right? I'm doing my intermittent fasting. I'm going to stay disciplined to that, right? I'm not going to eat until noon, right? I'll start eating around noon. I'm going to stop at 8. So Monday, I went to the gym. I did rounds in the steam room. I hooped, and I hit the elliptical for 30 minutes. And hey, don't hate on the elliptical, dog. The elliptical is good for my hip. I had hip surgery, all right? And elliptical still gets you a good sweat. You get a good exercise from the elliptical. Don't hate on elliptical. I know people try to hate. It is what it is. But I hooped, hit elliptical, and I steamed. Felt great. Then that Tuesday comes. I woke up and I went and hooped for 2 hours. And I haven't hooped in a while. And I forgot how good of a workout playing basketball is. And that's why I love basketball so much. It's good for you in so many different ways. For me, mentally and also physically, you know, it's a really good workout. And I came home. I was like, oh, I really worked hard today. Do I go to boxing? Keep in mind, I'm paying money to go to this place. I'm like, do I go to boxing? I sat there for maybe 2 hours. From about 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I sat there and contemplated. I deserve something in my mind's telling me, no, I deserve to chill. I deserve to chill. Yeah, I think I might just chill, watch some college basketball game tonight with the boys. You know, I deserve to chill. And then I sat there and I'm like, nah, fuck that, man. I'm going. Then I go to boxing. I was dead tired. I was so tired because I haven't pushed myself that hard in a while. But I was so happy after I did it. I went to boxing 7 o'clock at night, get done at 8. I'm like, hell yeah, man. I'm happy I did that. I stepped on the scale, y'all. From those just 2 days of grinding, I went from like 225 to 220. I don't know if that's really good health-wise. I don't know. 225 to 220. Okay? Then the next day I get up, go back, and I hoop again. Right? Go back, I hoop, I steam, hit the elliptical. You know, take my dogs on a long walk, like a 2-mile walk. I don't know if that's necessarily long, but it's a good walk for them. Okay? I'm down to like 218. The next day, the Thursday, I go hoop again, take my dogs on a walk. I'm still around the 218. And then the Friday comes. I go and hoop, come home, and my boxing starts at 7. And I was sitting there, and at about 6 o'clock, I'm like, I'm not going to boxing. I've grinded all week. I deserve this. Something in my head's telling me I deserve this, even though my goal from 60 days ago is to go to boxing every day of the week, right? I'm like, nah, I'm not going. I'm sitting here, I'm loading up Call of Duty. You know, we had plans, loading up Call of Duty, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at my clock, and my boxing place is about 10 minutes away, and it's like 6:47, I think. And I'm sitting there looking at we're loading in. I said, no, I'm gone. I said, okay, I'm going to boxing. Because something in my head said, quit being a little, it's a better way to put this. Quit being a little pansy. Go attack it. Go get it done. You're not missing out on anything for this hour. Busted my ass. Got my hands wrapped for boxing. I went to boxing, bro. Because when I was sitting there for that, like from like 6 to like that time I decided to go, in my head, like that song lyric or that rapper that was saying it, me versus me, kind of went in my head. I said, I am my worst enemy. I cut myself breaks when I don't deserve it. I make goals out for myself, but I give myself ways out. And I was so disappointed with myself in that moment because I was like, I'm a loser. Like, that is such a loser mentality to me. You know, if you're going to set a goal for yourself and you're serious about it, you got to go after it. You know, you got to sacrifice some things to go after it. You know, the external factors of, oh, I went super hard this week. I'm on break. Yeah, why? Yeah, I'm just gonna kick it. Nope, can't do that, dog. I got to go attack this, and I went. And I was so proud of myself because there was a me versus me type thing in that moment, because I'm like, I need to conquer myself. I can't let everything else dictate what I'm going to do. I need to fight myself and go and do it. You know what I mean? And I went, and it was awesome. It was a great workout. You learn a lot of good skills in there, self-defense, you know, sparring, all that kind of stuff. And I was so happy with myself. And that is kind of what inspired this pod, is like that me versus me aspect of, we are our own biggest enemies at times. It's not always the barriers that are presented in our external environment, in our communities, wherever you are. It's not always the barriers that are presented there. It's the barriers that are presented in our mind. You know, the barriers that we create in our mind that make us our own biggest enemy. You know what I mean? And we need to figure out, I need to figure out, and I think I'd encourage people to figure out, you know, how to overcome ourselves in those moments. You know, overcome, you know, the factors that play into our own mentals that try and bail ourselves out from accountability. You know, when you mess up at work, it's easy to point the finger somewhere else. It's really hard to point the finger at yourself and say, yeah, I could have been better. You know, I could have done things better. I could approach that person better. You know, that's on me. Because there's always going to be things that kind of influence those, but it's also our responsibility of how we handle that. And life comes with trial and error. Always. Life will always come with trial and error. But we got to learn from those errors, right? We got to learn from the mistakes. And that's on you. That's on me. You know what I mean? And so that's what really influenced this pod and this second half of it. But I think, you know, just want to come on and share. It's an emergency pod. I feel like I had to get it out there. I haven't been on for about a week and a half, so I just had to get on here and talk, y'all. But, you know, I'm getting out of here. I've been on for about an hour. I told myself I'd be about 45 minutes an hour. Now it wasn't supposed to be this long, but All-Star games suck. You know, go watch your local Class A, B, C, wherever you are, NAI, playoffs, all great basketball, all of it. Enjoy it. But challenge yourself this week. Most importantly, challenge yourself this week to, you know, push yourself. Be accountable. Be responsible for your own actions. You know, identify those conflicts in your life that aren't a you versus the world. It's a you versus you type thing. All right. Your boy Wetz is out of here. Have a good Sunday. Got some NBA basketball coming on. Enjoy your day. And like the page, share the page. Got some clips coming. Hopefully got some news coming. But I appreciate y'all who came in here and just listen. I hope it helped in some way. If not, that's okay. That's okay. It ain't for everybody. But I appreciate y'all. And you know, have a good Sunday. Have a good start to your week. All right. Peace.